Good morning, students. Today we're going to learn about what an actual mutation is. And so the objective of today is students will be able to recognize the types of mutations that can occur. I believe there's 3 that we'll be mentioning today. You will also be able to recognize changes to the DNA are mutations. So if there's changes or errors in the DNA, that's a mutation. And these errors or changes can happen during replication of the DNA. So as you make copies of DNA. Now, when mutations occur in a sex cell, that is what is passed on to the offspring. So if there's a mutation in sex cells, then it will affect the offspring because now there are errors or changes in the DNA of the sex cell. And Ms. Butler has changed the behavior objective, and so students are to learn the topic of the day while respecting both the teacher and technology that's being used as we learn the subject. And so the vocabulary of today is, well, a mutation. A mutation is just a change or an error in the living thing's DNA. Short and simple. Change or error in DNA. A mutagen is a factors that can cause changes in the DNA. So examples, it can be chemicals. Chemicals can be toxic to the DNA. Or radiation. If you remember from an assignment a few weeks ago, we talked about how UV radiation can damage DNA. And so radiation is also a factor. The word frequencies. Miss Butler would like you to know the word frequency. So frequency is, the way I think of it is this. The percentage of a population with a specific gene. So frequency, once you talk about frequency, you're going to talk about the genetic diversity of a population. So how diverse is this population? How many individuals of this population have a certain mutation or a certain trait? So think of it like a percentage of a population. The next 3, these 3 are actually types of mutation. So the first one is substitution. Substitution is, as for example, if Mr. Koo is not teaching for today, there's going to be a substitute teacher. So it is a replacement. So we all know that DNA is made up of 4 base pairs, A, T, G, and C. Those are the base pairs that the amoeba sister video talked about. When you swap one of these base pairs for another, then that is a substitution. Addition. Addition is simple math, adding. This is when you add on another base pair. Deletion. The word is delete. So you remove, you get rid of it. It's deleted, it's gone. Those are the 3 types of mutations. Substitution, replacing. Addition, adding. Deletion, deleting. And so before we go into mutations, let us return to the big question. So we are learning about how traits are passed down from generation to generation. So we have learned quite a few topics and concepts. So today we're going to pull up a few reminders. What have we learned? We have learned that changes to the DNA can lead to genetic disorders or diseases. That is what a mutation is. That's a change to the DNA, and these changes can lead to genetic disorders. Now, we're going to build on to it. These changes can lead to defective body parts, so body parts that no longer work. Or, for example, perhaps you got a mutation for your fingers, and imagine your fingers are growing in a different direction. That's a big yikers. So think of it like that. We have also learned how half of parents' DNA is passed to the offspring in sexual reproduction. So remember, you are half of your parents. And so sometimes you wonder, geez, I look like mom, but I also look like dad. That's the reason why. It's because you are a mix of your parents. So you got some half your DNA from mom, half of your DNA from dad. And so that's why you are literally a hybrid of your parents. And now going on to the picture right here, Miss Butler wants you to know that in order for an offspring, this is more of a review, in order for an offspring to be born, you need to combine two sex cells. So an egg cell and a sperm cell has to combine. The sperm cell, when it fuses with the egg cell, it will fertilize the egg. And this will result in a zygote being formed. And this zygote will begin to divide into the new organism. And furthermore, this picture also shows you how half the DNA of one organism comes from mom, half comes from dad. It is only when these two sex cells combine that the offspring will have a complete set of instructions in order for the cell to become a new functioning individual. And so today, the lesson of the day is mutations. So what are mutations? Mutations are changes to the DNA. And so some of you might wonder, how do these changes occur? So DNA, as I mentioned at least 2 to 3 times over the last month, has to be replicated. You need to make copies of DNA in order for cells to reproduce. And so like a copying machine, as you make copies of DNA, errors can arise. So like a little, not a straight line anymore, there's like a little dent in the line. Or there could be a smudge on the printing. Errors and changes happens in the DNA. Sometimes our body is really good at fixing the DNA, but there can be moments where the body either miss or they lost the ability to fix it. And so this is where we introduce our word, mutagens. Mutagens can influence whether or not DNA is correct. So an example is, I'm sure some of you have heard of smoking. Tobacco, or just smoke in general, have the harmful effect of causing DNA damage. We also learned about how UV radiation can damage DNA. It breaks the bonds inside the DNA, leading to kinks and unwinding of the DNA. So mutagens are factors that can affect the stability of the DNA. So some examples are chemicals and radiation. Now, mutations are actually a source of diversity in genes. So when these errors happen, it can be good, it can be bad, or it can actually do nothing at all. So a few mutations are harmful to the organism. So think about genetic disorders, genetic diseases. That is harmful to the offspring. So chances are, in the wild, that offspring is probably doomed. It's not going to make it. Now imagine you're born with a foot that grows the other direction. That's pretty harmful to you, isn't it? So a few mutations are harmful. Now, all of you are thinking, well, mutations can be good or bad. I can be Mystique from the X-Men, or you can be the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. You can be Spider-Man. But there's so much DNA out there. Errors will happen. Many mutations are neutral, so that means that it doesn't do anything. It's just, oh, I have a mistake. Oops. And these mutations, since they're neutral, does not affect the organism. And then there's the few that are actually helpful. So maybe I was born with wings. I can fly. Great. It will help the organism survive. And so now this organism that survives will make babies and pass on that mutation. If it's a good one, congratulations. Generation later, they will all have it. And the way you can think about this is actually the basis of evolution. Change of species over time. If this mutation is helpful, then congratulations, you survive, you make babies, and future generations will have it. And so now I'm going to show you an actual example of the mutations that can occur. Substitution is the replacement or the substituting of the base pair. And so in my example right here, the original DNA, we're going to look at the top string, GA. That is the original. When substitution occurs, so it's getting replaced, so look carefully in the new one. G. Notice that the second base pair, it was an A. Now it's a G. It got replaced. So that's substitution. The second one we're going to look at is addition. So addition, we're going to go back to GA. Notice how suddenly in the new string, in blue, there's another GA. So now you're adding on. From 4, in the new string there's 6. So you're adding more base pairs. In deletion, you are deleting. So you're removing. In the original, there are 4 base pairs, GA. In the new string, there's only 2, GA. The other GA got deleted. It's gone. And so those are the 3 types of mutations. Substitution, replacing. Addition, adding. Deletion, removing. And now Ms. Butler has included extra resources for you. If you click on the link, it will go show you another PowerPoint slide that will talk about mutations. And so for today's assignment, Ms. Butler has 2 videos for you on mutations in DNA and how mutations, that's the second video, will show you how mutations play a part in natural selection. And so after today, we're going to segue, we're going to go into natural selection, also known as evolution. We're going to talk about evolution after this. Now, when you watch the video, take notes and use what you learn in order to complete the assignment. Good luck.